A lot of Decepticons died. And what do you think the Decepticons left behind when they died? Maybe they left behind Energon. What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex here, and you're watching The Road to TF5. This is just web series we're talking about Transformers last night. This is episode number 60. And doesn't it feel like it's been a while since I've done an update? It's actually been 4 or 5 days, but that actually feels like a long time to me. The fact is that there hasn't been a whole lot going on. I mean, there has been a lot going on in the production. After all, they are shooting in the old Detroit Packard plant, and you can imagine what Michael Bay could be doing there. But you know what? For us, the general public, the fans, we don't get a lot out of it because we can't see anything that's going on. After all, Michael Bay has kept the production tightly under wraps. There's maximum security there, and they haven't been giving us anything. You know, in Transformers Age of Extinction, during the production, there was a lot of leaked photos because they were filming out in the open, in the public, where people whip up their camera phones and then they take photos and then they post them on the internet. Well, it's a little bit different here, or at least Michael Bay has been trying to keep it a little bit different. After all, it's been buzzing on social media. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, they've been using these different mediums to present information to us, but they only present selected information, not like before where people just snap photos and then we get to see a lot of really juicy information. So it's been very different. So what I'm gonna do in this episode is I'm going to recap on some of the small little news tidbits that have been happening over the course of the last 4 or 5 days. So we're gonna first start off with tech news. You know Michael Bay, he's all about the new tech, the new toys, the new camera gear, all of that hardware. He always wants to be the first one to use it in his films. And, you know, recently in his, last couple of films, he's been successfully been able to do that. He's been using new camera gear, especially for Transformers Age of Extinction. He was the first one to use the new Novo 2K camera, which is a tiny camera, smaller than a GoPro, which captures video in 2K. And then following after that, he got to use the Red Dragon Epic 6K camera once again for Transformers Age of Extinction. And he also got to use the new, at the time it was the new digital IMAX 3D camera, which is a 65mm 4K 3D camera, and he got to use it for the very first time. It's a state-of-the-art camera for Age of Extinction. You can kind of see a pattern developing here. 2K, 4K, 6K, what's next? Of course, 8K. Red has developed, by Red, I mean the digital camera company. Red has developed a new camera, and it will be used for the first time by Michael Bay in Transformers last night, and that is the new Red 8K helium camera. Now that doesn't mean that it floats or anything. Helium is just the name of the camera, and it shoots in 8K with a super 35mm sensor. Now I could use all this technical jargon to explain what that is, but I'll explain it in a nutshell. Basically, this camera is a really compact size camera, and typically when you have these cameras that shoot in really high definition, the cameras need to be really big. And just like the old IMAX cameras, they are huge. But Red has been able to develop it to make it into this compact size camera. And not only that, it's able to shoot in 8K, which is the highest possible resolution. So what that means is that when we see Transformers last night on the big screen, we're gonna see some amazing details. If you pay close attention, it'll look even more beautiful than Transformers Age of Extinction did. Believe me. Alright? So, Michael Bay, just like other digital camera enthusiasts, like directors like Michael Mann and David Fincher, James Cameron, Peter Jackson, he is, of course, on the digital filming bandwagon, and something like this is a given. For him to use something like this, it is a given, and I can't wait to see how it's going to look on the big screen. So there you have it. So, you know what? That's enough about tech news. Let's talk about the actual filming, or what we know about the filming for Transformers last night, and it all comes down to these Instagram photos that Michael Bay has been posting on his Instagram account, and I'm really happy that he's doing this because it at least gives us some something to talk about, or at least something to get excited about, because like I said before, he's been keeping the shoot under wraps, okay? So let's talk about this first photo, and it's nothing really that exciting. It's just some Allied trucks flipping, and I call them the Allied trucks because they have that A symbol on them, which suggests that they are human Allied forces. But this is an older photo because it was taken during the Arizona filming. And why are the trucks flipping? Obviously because a Transformer flipped them. I don't know if it's a Decepticon or an Autobot, but one of those were defending themselves, and because of that they had to flip the trucks. So that's why trucks are flipping. Moving on, let's talk about this photo. It's actually an Instagram video, but I took a screenshot of it. It's of these kids. Now, I mentioned in my previous video that I'm really excited to see kids in Transformers, in a Transformers live action film, because, excuse me, once again, a lot of gas. It brings back that innocence of Transformers. It brings back that innocence that we felt when we saw the Transformers arrive to Earth. The Autobot arrival in Transformers, the 2007 film, there was this feeling of innocence there. This feeling of excitement and mystery. And that's how I felt when I saw the Autobots land for the first time, and I was like, when I saw those protoforms coming, I was like, okay, here they come. Now, I'm not saying that this is exactly what we're going to see in Transformers Last Night, but we're going to see a version of that through the perspective of these kids, because based on all these Snapchat photos I've seen, it looks like all these kids are a part of the human cast joining Isabella Moner. And you can even see right here that these kids are running in the middle of the old Detroit Packard plant, and the question is, what are they running from? Obviously some kind of danger, whether it be like humans chasing after them or Decepticons, but in any case, they're running from danger, and it shows you that they are a part of the action. So we're going to see that action from their perspective, and what really makes this also exciting for me is that there is some pretty, dynamic subplots going on. We have the human story from the perspective of the kids. We also have a human story from the perspective of Cade Yeager. And we also have the human perspective from the military. All these stories will collide together, and which will lead us to wonder why the Decepticons and the Autobots are fighting again. So it will lead us to a bigger story, and I'm really excited about that. So once again, really excited about the fact that there are kids actually cast in Transformers The Last Night, all right? Now let's talk about these other photos from Michael Bay's Instagram account. And now you might have noticed that I have titled this video called Autobots Are in Trouble. Well, you know, of course the Autobots are in trouble. Let me explain you why the Autobots are in trouble, because these photos that I'm going to show you right here, this photo and this photo, you know what? It totally explains why the Autobots are in trouble. I mean, I'm going to explain it the best that I can based on my theories. So let's just start off with this photo. Something we're very, very familiar with. A mural of Optimus Prime's head and Bumblebee's head in the background, if you can see that. And the bottom it says enemy. Something we're very familiar with, and that is the aftermath of the Chicago battle from Transformers Dark of the Moon. A lot of humans have painted these Autobots as the enemy. That is what they see them as, and that is something that is very, very natural. Why is it natural? Is because humans are very natural to fear something that they don't know anything about. It doesn't matter if the Autobots have saved the world. It doesn't matter if the Autobots have rescued your pet cat from a tree. It doesn't matter if they've saved the planet Earth or defended Decepticons from destroying you. It doesn't matter. A lot of people automatically fear what they don't understand, and that is what I would like to call xenophobia. Xeno meaning alien, phobia meaning the fear of. So they have the fear of these aliens, these Cybertronians, and they're always going to maintain that fear as long as they exist, because based on what we've seen so far, the destruction in the downtown battle in Mission City, the destruction in Egypt, the destruction in the Chicago battle, and the destruction in Hong Kong, these Autobots painted in the media are like destroyers. They have caused a lot of harm, which leads me to believe that there is a huge Captain America sequel theme. And by sequels, I mean Captain America Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War. Now hear me out for just a second. Let me just take a moment to explain what I mean by this, okay? In Captain America Civil War, the Avengers need to be put in check, as quoted by Tony Stark. He says they need to be put in check because in the Battle of Sokovia and Age of Ultron, a lot of casualties happened. A lot of human lives were taken away, and that is because no matter how much they tried to save everybody, they couldn't save everybody, and because of that, there was a death toll. And that's why they had to have the Sokovia Accords to put the Avengers in check. Okay? So, the theme applies here. It doesn't matter how many times the Autobots have saved humans from world domination from the Decepticons, there are always going to be people who are always going to fear them. Okay, so that's how the Captain America Civil War theme applies to Transformers Last Night. Now, let's take a look at this photo. This is a very, very exciting photo. It's a photo that was posted on July 4th. Michael Bay wanted to show us explosions, or fireworks rather. And this is a very exciting photo, and you can see a lot of things going on here. If you pay close attention, there's a lot going on here. Photos are worth 1,000 words, but I only have a couple of them for you. So let me just explain what I think is going on here. First of all, this is filmed at the old Detroit Packard plant. Explosions going off, and obviously if there are explosions, there are robots. Which robots? I don't know, but I will get to it in just a second. You see the Allied forces there, military personnel, shooting at this location. They're probably shooting at it, and then suddenly explosions go off. You also see Allied vehicles, like these trucks with the A on them. The Allied vehicles are there. That is their mode of transportation. You also see FBI, 2 FBI personnel in the back, and they're just observing. They're not running, they're not holding out their guns, they're not acting in a very aggressive manner, they're just observing, okay? And then, of course, you see a civilian who appears to be detained, or is at least a prisoner of some kind, and he is like that because possibly one of these Allied Special Forces guys, these military personnel, are probably threatening him. Now, this is a civilian, and the only civilian that I think is a main player in the Transformers series is Cade Yeager. There's no more Sam Witwicky. There's no more Michaela Baines or Carly. This is a male. This is Cade Yeager. At least that's who I think it is. It's Cade Yeager. He's been detained, and he's detained against his own will, and he is detained by these Allied forces. Okay? Now this is where the plot thickens, because why on earth is he on his knees with his hands up? What threat does he pose? He's not a soldier, he's not a fighter, he's a mechanic. He's an inventor. He is a father. He is someone who, he doesn't want bad things to happen to him or his family or even the Autobots, because he has now befriended Optimus Prime and the other Autobots. But the fact is that he is held against his own will. But it's happening in front of explosions, and these Allied forces are shooting in that direction, and there's FBI being observing. What is going on? Well, I have a feeling that Cade Yeager's friends are there, and by friends I mean Autobots. Autobots are being shot at by these Allied forces, and the reason why I believe that is because why else would Cade Yeager be on his knees? He is in cahoots with the Autobots, or at least that's what the Allied forces see. And the Allied forces are shooting at them, therefore they see them as a threat. And if you are rolling with Optimus Prime, even if you're a human, you are also a threat. You know something, okay? And maybe you're withholding information again from them, so that's why he's got him on his knees. They've got him on his knees, okay? And that's where the next theme from Captain America Civil War applies, and that is Captain America Winter Soldier. Now, once again, hear me out here. This is how I'm going to tell you that Winter Soldier, the story of Winter Soldier is kind of connected or inspired the story for Transformers Last Night, okay? So, Captain America Winter Soldier, the theme is that the team that Captain America's team, that'd be Falcon and Black Widow, they don't really know who they're working for. They don't know if they're working for the good guys. They don't know if they're working for the bad guys. They're not really sure until they find out later on that Shield is actually Hydra, and that is the main concept there. They finally find out that Shield is actually Hydra, and because of that, they turn against Shield, which is essentially Hydra. I believe that this theme actually applies to the story of Transformers Last Night because Josh Duhamel, he plays the character of Sergeant Colonel Lennox, who is also part of the Allied Forces team, that Special Forces unit. But maybe he later on finds out that these guys that I'm working with, these comrades, these brothers in arms that I roll out with, they're actually not as good as I think they are. Josh Duhamel is friends with the Autobots. They've been working together with the Autobots in Nest, when they were working together in Nest, in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and also Dark of the Moon. Nest does not exist anymore. Nest has been broken up. So now there's this new Special Forces group, the Allied Forces. I'm just going to call them that for now, okay? But I think later on he finds out that just like S.H.I.E.L.D. in Winter Soldier, they have an alternate agenda, an alternate motive, an evil motive. He finds that out later on. Once again, this is just a theory. He finds that out later on, then he realizes that, wait a minute, I can't be on the same side as these guys. These guys are bad. So that is why we have evil humans holding Cade Yeager against his will. Where is Lennox? He's nowhere to be found. Maybe he's out defending other humans. But for the time being, at this moment, at this scene that we see right here, he's not with them. Because otherwise, Lennox would be saving Cade Yeager, someone who he's never met before until now, Transformers Last Night. So that's what I think is going on, okay? So that's why I think that the stories from the Captain America sequels, Civil War and Winter Soldier, have a little bit of inspiration on the story for Transformers Last Night. And the reason why I also say this is because Transformers Last Night is actually written by not only Black Hawk Down writer Ken Nolan, but also the writing team behind another Marvel film, and that is Iron Man. We have Matt Holloway and Art Markham. The duo writing team behind Iron Man are actually the writers for Transformers Last Night. I do know that they didn't write Captain America Civil War or Winter Soldier. I know they don't have anything to do with that, but the fact is that they were put in a writer's room filled with other Marvel writers. And I'm just thinking, Marvel stories in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they work. They know they work. They're all great stories, and maybe they decided to take a little bit of inspiration from stories that work and put it into their cinematic universe. After all, the Transformers Cinematic Universe was created because of how the Marvel Cinematic Universe was such a huge success. Hasbro decided to create their own cinematic universe because they were inspired by the success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And therefore, I don't think it's any surprise that they decided to take inspiration from other Marvel stories that were successful, namely Winter Soldier and Civil War. Okay? So that's where I'm going with that. So, of course, one of the biggest questions on my mind, other than that, is why the Packard plan? Why the old Detroit Packard plan? This is something I really want to talk about. Now, there's two ways to look at this question, and that is why from a production standpoint and why from a story standpoint. Well, from a production standpoint, Michael Bay. That's the answer. Michael Bay. He wants to use a big area as his playground, just like he used the Detroit set, which stood in for Hong Kong. He was able to do a lot of fun stuff over there. Okay? Now he's got another version of that set, and that is the old Detroit Packard plant, so that is why it's shot there. But from a story standpoint, why are they shooting there? Now, this is where I think it gets a little bit interesting. Check out this Snapchat photo. It says, "No trespassing." And this is a sign in front of these old ruined buildings. Abandoned area. Why on earth would this area be no trespassing? And it feels like it's heavily guarded. Maybe not heavily guarded, but there's a heavy emphasis on the fact that you should not be here. And check this out. There is the captions written TRF. That's typed in by Snapchat. What does it mean? Well, from what I've learned, TRF stands for something that represents the Allied forces. And from this point on, I'm no longer going to call them the Allied forces. I'm going to call them TRF. I don't know what it stands for, but maybe it stands for, and I'm just guessing, Transformers something force. I don't know what the R stands for. I don't even know if it stands for Transformers something force. I'm just thinking it stands for that. If you think you know what the R stands for, let me know in the comment section below. Anyways, TRF does not want civilians in that area. They do not want that area to be open to the public at all. It's because there's something that interests them. There is something that they want there, and there's something that they're discovering or detecting, or they are surveying that area because maybe they detect an alien substance or an alien entity or some kind of alien material that interests them. Which leads me to talk about this photo right here. I believe this is the props manager for Transformers Last Night, and he's preparing some bottles, some soda bottles, some Gatorade bottles, and he says that I'm preparing Energon for Izzy, and by Izzy, he means Isabella Moner, okay? And check this out. These are bottles of soda bottles with green liquid in them, Gatorade bottles, and there's a lot of them. That's Energon. He says it's Energon. I'm going to go with that is Energon. Now, the concept of Energon is being explored in Transformers Last Night for the first time. I'm talking about in the live-action series. The concept of Energon is being explored in the live-action universe for the first time, and that is Transformers Last Night. The very first time we even got a hint of Energon was in the form of an Allspark cube, okay? They didn't use Energon cubes like they did in 1984 G1. They used something called the Allspark cube. Now, the Allspark cube, that's the very first time I've ever heard of it, okay, in the 2007 film. If somebody can tell me if there is a prior history of the Allspark cube existing in Transformers lore, please let me know in the comment section below. But as far as I know, the very first time the Allspark cube was introduced, or the concept of the Allspark introduced, was in the 2007 film, okay? And I always believe that that's a version of or rather a variation of Energon cubes. It's in the form of a single cube. Now they're introducing Energon, and Energon, from what we understand, is the life force of Transformers. Not so much the spark is the life force, but more like a substance that they need to keep themselves going. It's like sustenance, it's like food, and that's what Energon is. And I'm just thinking, and this is my theory once again, Energon is located in this area. Now, why is Energon located in this area? Because this area, the old Detroit Packard plant, represents Chicago. You guys already know this. The old Detroit Packard plant, Detroit is standing in for Chicago. And what happened in Chicago in the Transformers live-action films? The Chicago Battle. So, what happened in the Chicago Battle? A lot of Decepticons died. And what do you think the Decepticons left behind when they died? Maybe they left behind Energon. And why are they in bottles? Because there are kids. Isabella Moner and her team of kids, they use whatever they can find to contain the Energon. Soda bottles, Gatorade bottles. This isn't something that some adults came up with. This is something that kids got their hands on. They went to the convenience store, emptied out some soda and Gatorade bottles, and started filling it up with Energon. And why? It's because the Autobots are in distress. The Autobots need help. The Autobots need Energon, and the only way they could bring it to them was using these bottles, and that's why they're running. You could see them carrying a backpack, and maybe inside the backpack is bottles and bottles and bottles of Energon. And that is what the humans are after as well. And that is what the Decepticons are after. There's always has to be some sort of plot device, the MacGuffin, okay? And in this case, it's the Energon. Pretty exciting stuff. Now, I'm very, very interested in the Detroit Packard plant. I've always been wondering, why aren't we not seeing more photos? Why are we not seeing, like, more leaked photos? And, I don't know very much about the geography of Detroit. All I know is that RoboCop was filmed there, Beverly Hills Cop was filmed in Detroit, the beginning part at least, and also Jerry Bruckheimer, super producer, Jarryd McGregor is from Detroit. That's all I know about Detroit, okay? Let me tell you a quick story about Detroit, actually. I have a friend of a friend. Like, I know a guy who knows a guy which had a business meeting in Detroit, and he was lost. He was driving around Detroit, and then a cop pulled him over and said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" "Well, I'm trying to get to here. I'm kind of lost." And the cop said to him, "Hey, keep driving. Don't stop. If you stop and something happens to you, I can't save you." I thought that was kind of funny and amusing. But anyways, I'm going off topic. But anyways, so I was wondering, how come we're not seeing more leaked photos with the production of that takes place in the Detroit Packard plant? Aren't there tall buildings around where people who are working in the office buildings can shoot camera videos or photos or whatever, right? Just like in the Detroit filming in Transformers Age of Extinction. Remember, we saw a lot of photos from people who worked in the office buildings above, and they were able to take photos and videos of all the explosions going off. We don't get to see that sort of thing. So I decided to do my own little bit of research, and this was actually kind of fun. I actually went to Google Maps, and I used the Google Maps Street View, put my guide there, and I was able to do a little bit of a walk around the Detroit Packard plant, and it turns out there are no tall buildings there. And, a lot of Detroit residents are probably thinking right now, well, of course there aren't. I live in Detroit. I know that. Well, I don't know that. I just wanted to know, why isn't there any photos there? And the reason why is because it's so easy to close off this set. All right, they have maximum security there, and that's why they're keeping it under wraps. Anyways, I would like to invite you guys to go use Google Maps, type in Detroit Packard plant, and take a tour around the set. It's like a virtual tour. You're gonna have a lot of fun with that. All right. Anyways, that's all I got to say in this video. It's been pretty exciting so far, even though there hasn't been any big announcements, but I actually am having a lot of fun speculating and talking about my theories. So once again, I want to invite you guys to post your theories in the comment section below. What do you think about my theories and what I've talked about with regards to Energon, with regards to the Captain America Winter Soldier sequel themes being explored in there, the Autobots being the enemy, and also, Cade Yeager being detained, and also Sergeant Lennox finding out that his TRF forces, his buddies that he rolls with, turns out they're not good after all. And what do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comment section below. Anyways, I'm going to end this video with shoutouts. So just like the previous episode, I am going to give out Twitter shoutouts for those that follow me and those that also retweeted my video. So the random shoutouts go to J. Miguel, Siang Hui 523, Blue Flame, Austin Cansdale, Nick Leon, Gray Fullbuster, Aaron Chalice, Nicholas Coulter, Esteban Benucci, Casson, and also Jeff D. Ulibari. And also, I want to give a big birthday shout out to Jeff D. Ulibari's sister, Lexi Ulibari, who's no longer with us. And I don't know if they have YouTube or if you can see this from the heavens above, but I just want to say happy birthday. Your brother misses you very much. Your family misses you. And when Transformers Last Night comes out next year, you're going to be watching it with your brother and the fans around the world. Happy birthday to you, and God bless. So that's all I have to say in this video. Now, I did mention that if you tweeted me a question on Twitter with the hashtag the road to TF5, I would answer it in the next video. Unfortunately, we've ran out of time, and I'm going to dedicate my next video to answering those questions. So I apologize for not answering it today, but we will take care of that in the next episode. All right, so please stay tuned for that. I'm going to be going out of town for this weekend. I'm going to take a little bit of a short vacation, and when I come back, we'll get back to those questions, and maybe we're going to have something big to talk about. So anyways, that's all I got to say in this video. Thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate all your support, and this is your one-stop shop for all the exciting news for the production of Transformers Last Night. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, @Ragin Nation. My name's Alex. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. Drift needed a change for logistical reasons, and they're probably going to write a story for that. And most likely